So when I first start to draw an eye, what I want to first think about is the proportions to get it in the space exactly how it would fit to start. So I'm going to do some sighting like we did with the still life, where I'm going to look at the distances to start. So first thing I do is I'm going to put my pencil up to this, and I notice this is an easy one, this silver band. This silver band, if I match it up with the bottom edge of the eye to the top edge, it's about the distance from the crease of the eye to here. So then I can come over here, and I'm drawing it the same size, and maybe I'll just draw one little, if I gotta go about the same, just to start. I'm gonna draw one, and then this is the crease of the top of the eye. So then this is a little below the part that I see, so I'm gonna go right there. I can compare that to here too. That goes to about this edge, maybe a touch lower. Now, the width of the eye, I'm going to use that same silver band and say, okay, if I line that up with this edge right here, and then the silver band, make it over, look at that. It's like a silver band and an eraser top. So I can come over here and say, all right, I'll start over here for the edge of the eye, and then I'm going to go line it over, and here's the other edge. Now, this is a great way to start because I don't care if I have to remove a tiny little line, right? If I very carefully draw the outside edge of this and I realize it's wrong, I'm not going to want to start over. So be kind to yourself by first starting with drawing just some dots or dashes to kind of give you the edges of those lines. Now, I'm not going to use the tortillions yet. Please just keep these aside because I want to show you how to use them. This is your one tortillion for the project, so just set those aside right now. Now, I'm going to take this curve and I'm going to go over with my pencil, and I'm going to notice it kind of comes in and then curves up. So if this is that edge, it comes in a little bit and then it curves up, and I need it to match that one and then come down here. So I'm trying to mimic that same curve. And then I notice the bottom is not a perfect curve. It goes up and down, and again, getting the curve of the outside edge of those eyelids, it's almost straight right there, is what's going to help me, don't draw this yet, please just watch, is what's going to help me get this edge.
Mary,
She's right there.
Mary?
All right, so now I'm going to draw these dark edges here and bring these in. All right, look up front so I can see the edge. Now notice, like we talked about yesterday, you don't typically see the full iris of the eye. I only see the part that's peeking out. I know it's a circle, but only this part is peeking out. I also see this glare right here, so I'm actually going to do a little outline right there and leave it pretty white for now. And then just to get this drawn in, this is in the center, he's looking straight ahead, and know where all this lines up. I did this to see where it is. I'm going to keep it light for the moment so I see where things go. And then I notice the curve of the crease of the eyelid. Remember, it's not going to be consistent with the eye. It's going to follow its own path. So it kind of comes up, it curves down, and this looks thick right here, but that's because the eyelashes fill that. There's a darkness there. And then this is going to come around and come here. Again, please just watch right now. That's a little too far down. And then I go here. Now, the bottom of his eyebrow, these are pretty pushed together. He may be squinting a little bit. Usually there's a little more room. I'm going to get this bottom edge in here, but eyebrows do not have an outline. So I want to be careful to just start to put in a few of these little hairs, and my line should follow the direction and length of those hairs. He's got a couple little crazies over here, you know, get those, and then do this one. And there's more. I'm going to darken it, but I want to just get the movement. Look, there's a little pink in that one. Get that guy. And then this comes here. There's a few smaller ones here. But I want my mark to follow the length and direction of that mark. So they start to come down here, and this comes in. Again, I'm getting everything blocked in lightly right now. So I have this. There's this darker area, which is his eyebrow, or his eyelashes, I mean. So I come in with this, and the eyelashes on top. Look at the direction of the eyelashes. Sit up, please. I look at the direction of these eyelashes, and this comes in here, and they kind of curve underneath and come up around the lid. And that's what's creating, and then these down here kind of come down. So anytime you're drawing hair, you want to be thinking about the length and direction. If it's lighter hair, you're going to leave space in between them. And down here, there isn't as many. And remember, I want to draw the thickness of the lid. This line's kind of dark. So I'm going to draw the thickness here. It's just a little, because I see the thickness of that bottom edge, and then these will come in here. I'm probably going to darken these later because I'm going to come in and start adding some shading. So I have things mostly blocked in. Now I need to add my value. Right in here, this is pretty dark, so I can actually go in, shade, add some pressure to it. Around here, the edges of the iris are often darker, and I'm going to use a movement to my mark like this because that tends to be the movement of the iris. Up here I can't really get in there, so I'm just going to darken that in. Leave a little bit of the space for the glare spot right there. It's a little lighter here, so maybe I darken around here. Maybe I'll go back in here. But if you see black on this side, you want to draw dark values, almost black, on this side so that your values correspond. Now, when I get to the shading, this is important. I want to darken this. But I don't want to go with my pencil like this because I'm going to see lines. So please, if you've started drawing, stop and look up here. I'm going to hold my pencil in one of two ways. You can either hold it so that there's 4 fingers on top and your thumb on the bottom, and this forces you to lighten your pressure. And by doing this, I can shade with the side of my pencil and I get nice even pressure. And notice as I'm shading, I'm moving it around kind of randomly. I'm not shading in rows because as I overlap and do that, I'm going to get very uneven sections of value. By doing it this way, keeping it moving on the side of my paper, inside of my pencil, I'm sorry, I can do like little soft circles. I can go in one direction and kind of move it around. Don't do it now, just watch, just watch, just watch. Thank you. Glad you're excited, just watch. But I am trying to hold it on the side. The other way you can hold it is just by moving your hand down to the other end of the pencil, because that also forces you to make a lighter value. So I can do it that way. Do whichever one feels comfortable, but see which one will give you less of a line. I don't want to see the strokes of my shading for this. I want to move it. So I'm using very light, soft touch right here. And notice at the edge it fades. So I don't want to have, let me darken the screen a little bit so you can see it better. I don't want to have too much of a mark there. And I'm just going to go over it. I like to go lightly and go over it a couple times if need be, but not really press harder because I don't want to see the mark of the pencil. I want it to be nice and light. And then I keep going over it until I feel like here it's darker even, so I got to match that value, go in there a little closer. And the answer to my questions are not from Mrs. Rosen, they're on here. So if you're not sure how something goes, go back to it. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is these are the whites of the eyes, right? Are they perfectly white over here? Is this white? Let's compare it to the white down here. Is it the same? No, it's not. So yes, it is called the whites of your eyes, but in life, there's shadow in there because it's, remember, it's an eyeball that sits in the socket of your skull, and so it's going to round. So if you leave that perfectly white, it's going to look too bright. Leave a little shadow in the corner. There's a little bit of an edge here. Maybe need to come back in, like I said, and make sure I can see those eyelashes. There's a little bit of a shadow here. And I just keep looking back and forth and saying, what else do I need? Well, over here, it might be a little darker. I'm still holding my pencil a little further out because I'm shading. And then the last thing you can do, make it the last thing, hold your tortillon on its side like this. And then if you want to soften those values even more, just a light touch at the end will do that. You don't have to do this. You can leave the texture of the pencil that it gives. I actually kind of like that texture. But this is sort of the last thing if you wanted to go in and soften it a little bit more. And the cool thing about the tortillons is that it does pick up some of the lead, the graphite, so then you can come out to your edges and it'll just elongate those values a little bit and soften that edge. So I might need to look at it and kind of clean up these edges. It looks like this is a little more open than his eye. I might come back and kind of even this out a little bit, but hopefully you get the idea. Make sense? All right.